Hello and welcome to this series. In this series, we'll be talking about introduction to database management system using Postgres. And this is the first video. This is the first formal video of the series, and we'll be talking about data. What is data? What is databases? We just try to understand. Um, I just feel it's necessary for us to understand what data is and what database is before we dive deeper into the series. So the first thing is what is data? You want to know what is data if you are working with databases. So basically, data is a set of values, facts, or information that basically represents something. It could represent anything. So it could be values, it could be facts, or it could be information that represents something. It can be in form of numbers. It can also be in form of text, sometimes images, and sometimes videos or other type of digital or physical information. So basically, that is what data is. Data can also be used to understand trends. We use data to understand patterns. We also use data to get insights to make informed decisions and also to act on those decisions. And also, uh, data are stored in a variety of formats. It could be stored in databases, spreadsheets, or text files. So we said data is a set of values. We define data as a set of values or facts or information that represents something. So what are these things data represents? Basically, you could have data representing personal data. For example, it could be the name of a person. That is some form of data. It could be the age of a person. It could be where does this person live, so like an address information. So these are different type of data. It could also be financial type of data if you're working in the financial sector, like sales figures or expenses, profit, loss, and all of that. So those are other examples of data. We could also have data like sensor data, talking about temperature readings and weather readings. We have a lot of them. And since a chunk of us are in the geospatial space, we cannot leave out the geospatial data, which is basically um, data about a location. It could be coordinates, it could be in form of map, it could be texture, it could be anything basically that describes a location. So next, we need to think about the data we spoke about. How are these data generated? We spoke about geospatial data and financial data and other type of data sets. So how are these data generated? So we need to think about how this data are generated. So data is generated from a variety of sources. It could be for the temperature data set. It could be from sensors. We have temperature sensors around the country. It could also be from cameras. It could also be from user interaction. It could also be on social media. All of the media we use these days are great means of data generation and many other ways to generate data. And also, we have to think about the advent of Internet of Things and the increasing use of smartphone and other mobile devices. So data is being generated at an unprecedented rate at this moment, and all this huge amount of data is known as big data. That's another field on its own. And now it is also becoming very important to know how to manage all of this data, how to store all of this data, and how to analyze it so we can be able to retrieve information from this data set. But there are some challenges, right? We have some challenges because the data set is like so large, and the basic challenge we have with data is the quality of the data. We need to assert the quality of the data, also the security of the data and the integrity of the data. So basically, when I say quality, data quality basically refers to the accuracy, the completeness, and the consistency of the data. And about data security refers to the protection of the data from unauthorized access and breaches. You want your data to be safe. You have data about people. These are legal data, and you don't want just anybody having access to this data set. And the last part is the data integration. So this refers to the process of combining data from multiple sources and ensuring the consistency and the compatibility of the data. So we have these four challenges regarding any type of data we have, and now databases and database management system help us to address these challenges. So how do database and database management system addresses these challenges? So the first thing is providing a centralized and structured way to store and manage data. And after we've stored and managed the data, it's also important to be able to query some part of the data. You need something from the data. So it also provides us a way to query the data, to analyze the data, and also share the data. And also it provides mechanism to ensure data quality, data security, and data integration. For example, a database management system can be used to enforce data constraints. Um, an example of data constraint might be the date of birth must be in the past. A phone number must also be in the correct format. So those are like data constraints. For example, if you are in Nigeria, you could make sure the phone number starts from +234. Those are constraints you add to your data. If you're in Spain, you could add some constraint like for your phone number, maybe +64. So these are constraints, and for if you are collecting date of birth, you have to make sure the date is in the past. The date cannot be in the future. So these are like constraints you add to your data, and this is ways you could help with data quality, the data security, and these are pardon me, these are ways database and data base management system up to address the problem of data quality, data security, and data integration. So we've been speaking about databases and data and database management systems. So let's dive deeper and understand what is the database. So what is a database, right? So a database is a collection of data that is stored in a specific way so that the data can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. For example, a database could be something where we store information about customers. It could just be a spreadsheet. It could be a database software or a text file that contains information about customers. And some examples of the data would be like the name of the customer, the address of the customer, and the phone number of the customer. So next, let us talk about database management systems. So what is the database management system? Is referred to as DBMS in short. So database management system is a software that allows user to interact with the database. So you have your database somewhere, and now we need a software that allows user to like interact with this database. It also provides some tools for creating. You could use the tools to like create more data. You could use the tools in the database management system to modify the data, and also more importantly to query the database, as well as controlling access to the data. So some common examples of database include MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and in this course we'll be using PostgreSQL. There's also SQLite, to mention a few. So let's summarize the difference between a database and a database management system. So let's think about just visualize a phone book, right? So a phone book is basically a collection of data that is organized in a specific way. So you may choose to store the names, the address, and the phone numbers of your customers, or a- or anything basically. So just think about a phone book, and the phone book is database. So it contains some information, address, names, and phone numbers. So that can be considered as a database. But now let's think about a phone book application that you can use on your phone to access the data on the phone book. You can also use it to manage the data, and you can also use to update the data on the phone book. So this is what a database management system is. So the database is just like the book that the phone book that contains all the information about the name, the address, or the phone number of your customers or of people in your life. Now, the database management system is just like an application that accesses the phone book, and it can manage the data in the database. It can also update this information and get some maybe query or do some other stuff. So now let's look at the roles of database management in a GIS. Since we are GIS people, database management systems play an important role in a GIS by providing a way to store, and manage the large amounts of data that are typically used in the GIS. Database management system, in short DBMS, in a GIS is used to store and manage both spatial and non-spatial data. And just for reference, spatial data refers to data that has geographic components such as the location of a building or the boundary of a river. And non-spatial data refers to data that do not have geographic components, such as maybe the population of a city or the color of a building or something like that. Now, the database management system in the GIS is responsible for ensuring that the data are accurate, consistent, and accessible. So it includes tasks such as enforcing data constraints, providing backups and recovery mechanism, and supporting multiple users. In addition to storing and managing data, the database management system in a GIS is also used to perform spatial analysis, spatial queries as well. This include tasks such as finding the nearest hospital to a given location, or determining the area of a specific land use, or identifying patterns in data. Overall, the database management system in a GIS plays a critical role in managing and analyzing the large amounts of data that are used in the GIS, and in also ensuring the data is accurate, consistent, and accessible. So, looking at the image we have here, we could like conceptualize what the data base management system basically like does. So we have the data here, we have the data here, which is the physical database layer. Then we have the database management system layer, and we have the application layer. So this is where users gets to like interact with softwares like QGIS or ArcGIS or any other software. And these are the tasks you could perform on the software. But before you could do these tasks are basically the data to perform these tasks are basically stored in a database, and the database management system makes it easy to like store this data, like index to make operation faster, provide security, and you could query, do some analysis, and also back the data up. So that will be a wrap on databases. And in the next lecture, for next week, we'll be releasing a video per week. So next week lecture, we'll be looking at the relational model. You don't want to miss this session.